They're not coming back. Not after tonight.
You really shouldn't have come back, Mr. White.
Say the words!
Each week we break down another Breaking Bad episode in order, and we've reached the end. After 61 episodes over 14 months, Season 5, Episode 16, Felina. And for this series finale episode alone, I've got 100 details you might not know.
Isn't this awesome?
It's wonderful.
And thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. More about them later. This episode number 62 is the longest episode other than the pilot. Coincidentally, element number 62 on the periodic table is samarium, used to treat lung cancer. We begin a couple hours after Granite State ended and discover that the Volvo Walt takes to Albuquerque is a random unlocked one that he steals. At the time of the episode 1 flash forward though, they figured that the Volvo would be Walt's. They even considered him having a new wife and new job teaching chemistry at a learning annex, one of many alternate timelines we'll talk about in this video. For all the times, especially this season, where it was cold and everyone had to act warm, here's one time where Bryan was hot and had to act cold. They're indoors, so the snow is fake and Bryan had a container of dry ice in his mouth to make the visible breath. This is very dangerous, so never attempt this yourself. Walt discovers that hot wiring a car is hard. The lights were a contraption manually pushed by the crew. This bookends the series with sirens heading toward Walt but driving past.
Just get me home. I'll do the rest.
Vince pointed out that it's like Walt's praying, but he doesn't know who he's praying to. He originally had more dialogue as if he were talking to God.
You want this? You wouldn't have brought me all this way if you didn't.
Nevertheless, his prayers are answered, which is extremely lucky. What are the chances? Is this something people do in New Hampshire in 2010? It's like leaving a key under your doormat. Vince described this as Walt having the devil's luck. As we know,
he is smarter than you. He is luckier than you.
The script says Walt notices the driver's side visor was a bit lower than the other one, and you can see it in his eyes. Also, the Just for Today keychain is from Narcotics Anonymous that commemorates the first day of clean living. That's a bit of a callback to Jane, and a bit ironic if this is really parked outside the bar. That knock on the window was Bryan's idea, and it worked out great. And now that Marty Robbins cassette is playing. The song is El Paso, the inspiration for the episode's title. It's about a woman named Felina and echoes the plot of this episode, so let's save that for the end. They spelled it differently simply because this way it's an anagram of finale. It also happens to be Spanish for feline or cat-like, which could reference Walt's ability to evade authorities. There's a very popular belief that this also represents the elements iron, lithium, and sodium, meaning blood, meth, and tears. But this has never been confirmed and has some problems. Although lithium can be used to synthesize meth, that's not how they do it in Breaking Bad.
It's just basic chemistry.
Also, sodium is a better fit for sweat than tears, although there is some in both. This gas station is in, although about 40 miles away from the iconic Ozymandias location, and we're connected back to episode 1. In the bright sunlight, that prop money looks super fake. He puts the pills in his pocket, so they're there in the Denny's flash forward. The clouds changed quite a bit here, but this does happen a lot in the series.
Hello, this is David Lynn from the New York Times.
You know, for all the attention I've given Saul, Mike, and Marie for their aliases, Walt has many as well. There's
Heisenberg, Walt Jackson.
Mr. Mayhew.
The Maestro. Adolf. Grandpa Anus.
Nick the Great.
Walter, Mr. Lambert.
Mr. W. Dr. Chemistry.
and now,
David Lynn. I figured we'd do the interview by phone since they've already left New York. But what we'd really love to get is a photo of Mr. and Mrs. Schwartz to go along with the article.
his nodding during his last over-the-phone lie reminds me of the way he acted during the earliest lie we see. I find it odd that he's using the opposite ear, though.
They'll be home tonight. Now, the address I have on them is Upper Canyon Road. Is that still? No, it isn't.
I love how they work this in. It's fitting because it shows them reaching higher levels of success, but also this was required because they were not allowed back in this wealthy neighborhood in Los Ranchos. After this episode, the HOA banned all future TV and movie filming. They almost used this house for the new Schwartz Manor, but saved it for Big Ricky and Better Call Saul instead. Fun fact about this scene from Gray Matter: a neighbor would run their wood chipper out of spite every time they started filming, so the crew switched to saying cut for action and action for cut to fool the neighbor, and it worked.
I know how busy Mr. and Mrs. Schwartz are.
Bryan confirmed this is a wig. It looks so realistic to me. And here's the final loose end to tie up that answers why Walt wasn't wearing his watch in the episode 1 flash forward. They added this part simply for continuity. This was the last thing they shot for this episode and Bryan's last part for the series, except for the Ozymandias teaser still to be filmed. But there was originally more to this scene that didn't make it into the final script. Walt would go inside where Bill, a former student working there would recognize him. He'd scare and bribe him to stay silent, but also take the opportunity to ask if he was a good teacher. Bill would say he was great, and when pressed to repeat one thing he learned, he would mention this moment from the pilot. Personally, I'm okay this scene was dropped. The headlights were off the whole time, so they digitally turned them on at the start of this scene. They're still rocking beige. This is just a plain sheet of lucite they stuck on the wall, meant to be an alarm system. She was supposed to just be turning off the alarm here, but she ended up doing a completely unrealistic number of touches, and they didn't catch this on the day of shooting. To fix this, they added music to the scene and made it seem like she was turning on the lights and interacting with the sound system after turning off the alarm. The music they had to add is 2 songs from the opera Faust, which is fitting since it's about a successful man dissatisfied with life, leading him to make a pact with the devil.
Sweet smell of success.
They had scripted dialogue here, but the house is so big it took longer than expected to walk across it, so they improvised some of this. It's really subtle, but you can see the crew in the reflection. I discovered such weird differences in the credits between the Netflix version and the DVDs. The letters are spaced differently, and on Netflix the text isn't properly centered. This is the 4th and final episode, written and directed by Vince, all of which are classics. Walt picks up a photo of Gretchen, but I am curious about the other photos. I guess they had a dog and maybe have a daughter? This shot is so tricky. This is a real house, so how did they get a shot through the fireplace? They put a mirror in the back of it, filmed it from the front, then flipped the image. If you look closely, you can tell because these 2 flames are perfectly in sync. It's the flame and its own reflection.
Wine and then.
Hello, Gretchen Elliott. Walt.
They tried to hide it, but that's a cord for lighting equipment. I don't know why they couldn't plug it in that corner.
I saw you on Charlie Rose. You look great.
If you are here to hurt us.
I just have to say that I love her so much. That's all.
Actually, I'm here to give you something. If we're gonna go that way, you'll need a bigger knife.
This is a nitpick, but shouldn't there be tire tracks? It looks like they probably drove it in from the right before parking the Schwartz's car.
That is $9,720,000.
Where did it come from?
Can we account for this number? We know he started with about $11 million. Almost 11.5 if it's really 80 million divided equally between 7 barrels. Although he did buy the truck in the desert, so let's just say 11 million after that. He gave $125,000 to Ed, plus $50,000 for each later trip, and I'm going to estimate he made 4 trips over the 5.5 months. Subtract 10,000 for staying an extra hour, although this could have happened more than one time, and I'm going to say he gave Skinny Pete and Badger $20,000. He buys the Cadillac from Lawson as well as the M60 and ammo at
5 times what you'd pay your neighborhood gun store.
So let's estimate a generous $200,000. That leaves about $10.5 million, meaning he would have had to spend about $725,000 on gas, meals, tips, and his supplies like the garage door opener. You know what that means. Kubi and Huel did skim some off the top.
I earned it. And you're going to give it to my children.
What? Why?
I don't think
On my son's 18th birthday, which is 10 months and 2 days from today.
I'm surprised, but that actually makes sense. Junior's 16th birthday was July 8th, 2009 during Salute. He would have turned 17 while Walt was in New Hampshire, and this night is September 6, 2010, 10 months and 2 days before his next birthday.
You will give him this money in the form of an irrevocable trust. 2 rich benefactors who are known for their charitable endeavors would think nothing of, for instance, writing a $28 million check.
A $28 million grant.
Your money would be very welcome.
It wouldn't make any sense coming from us.
My children are blameless victims of their monstrous father.
Yeah, he's not feeling remorse.
Call it a bow, Jess.
That's a French idiom for a noble or generous gesture.
You are not to spend a single dime of your own money.
It's not as clear as earlier, but you can see the shape of for motion picture use only text and fake portraits. This is the 29th and final instance of prop money I've counted in Breaking Bad. Although I only started looking for this when Walt burned his money in the first episode of season 3, so I've definitely missed some of the early ones.
If there are taxes or lawyers' fees owed, you will take it right from here. They use my money, never yours.
that sounds reasonable.
This is a big step that he let go of his pride, as his family will never know the money came from him.
I can't trust you to do this.
Absolutely you can.
Don't move. Don't dare move a muscle. You don't want them to think that you're trying to get away. I had an extra $200,000 that I would have loved dearly to leave on top of this table. Instead, I gave it to the two best hitmen west of the Mississippi.
This is a nod to
the most lethal contract killer west of the Mississippi.
Just to reiterate for the earlier calculation, he did not really spend $200,000 on hitmen. Speaking of spending money, as a lover of minute details, I thought I was on top of all my spending. I subscribed to a lot of services for stock footage and creative tools, but I found out I was being charged every month for a stock images subscription that I completely forgot about. I went ahead and canceled that, and that was thanks to today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. I'm using Rocket Money to cancel those unwanted subscriptions and set budgets so I can save money. Once you connect your bank account, Rocket Money identifies all your subscriptions in a single list. From there, you can select the ones you don't want anymore, and Rocket Money may be able to help you cancel with just a few taps. Rocket Money also let me create a customized budget in seconds. I see where my money's going at all times, and the app identifies my top spending categories with insights on how to stay within my budget better. And it notifies me about upcoming charges or low balances to help avoid overdrafts and late fees. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/BetterWatchTV or click the link in the description to get started for free. Now back to the details.
Whatever happens to me tomorrow, they'll still be out there.
Vince asked them to purposely shine the light into the camera, but checked with the cameraman first and gave a cue so he could look away. We know the two people who are really holding the laser pointers outside right now, and it's not who you think. It's Trina Siopi, who took the bullet for Andrea, and everyone's favorite photographer, deputy, student, preppy shopper, roofing hammer attack victim, and homicide suspect, Matt Feet. It wouldn't be an episode of Breaking Bad without Matt.
And if, for any reason, that my children do not get this money before you can even turn around. Cheer up, beautiful people. This is where you get to make it right.
The only visual effect with the laser pointers was that they extended the one on Elliot. Somehow, Trina and Matt ended up turning them off exactly in sync, down to the frame, which looked too good to be true. Do you think Gretchen and Elliott will actually do this? Vince believes they're scared enough to do it. Goodbye, Gretchen and Elliott. You gave us so many memories, such as Elliott's accidentally visible ear putty in season 1, plus...
What about the soul?
It is weird that he found them, considering he couldn't even remember their names.
Beaver and what's his name?
But there are reasons to believe he could have Badger's number, like when they met up to steal the vacuum cleaner. That appears to be some lighting equipment reflected in Walt's glasses. Again, shining it in the camera was intentional, this time to make it absolutely clear that they were the hitmen.
You know, I don't exactly know how to feel about all this.
Real, yo. Whole thing felt kind of shady, you know, like morality-wise.
How do you feel now?
I would have guessed Walt paid them half at the beginning and half at the end, so maybe he really spent $40,000. But my interpretation of seeing the money pop up again in El Camino is that they're giving all the money they have, so maybe not.
Better.
Yeah, definitely improving.
This is close to the New Hampshire bar, so they filmed this the same day they reshot the footage damaged in the plane accident.
What's this I hear about blue meth still being out there?
It's you, right?
Damn, man. We were sure it was you, because that shit is choice, yo. Better than ever.
Jesse.
Seriously? You said he moved to Alaska.
That's what I heard.
Jesse probably didn't talk to friends after his revelation, so this must have come through Saul, which feels like a breach of trust. Badger and Skinny Pete could be the most prominent characters who finished the series in a better state than when it started. Vaya con Dios, amigos. Michelle MacLaren directed this part because Vince was running behind schedule. This isn't a flashback, but rather him imagining a different reality as a coping mechanism. And it matches up well with the story he told in Kafkaesque.
My project was to make this wooden box. You should have seen it. It was insane. I built it out of Peruvian walnuts, inlaid cedar wood. It was fitted with pegs, no screws. I sanded it for days until it was smooth as glass. Then I rubbed all the wood with tung oil so it was rich and dark. It even smelled good. It was perfect.
What happened to the box?
Aaron kept the box as a souvenir, although that's not all he has.
They wouldn't let me steal it, but when we wrapped the series, Vince surprised me with this. I won't talk about what I stole, because I don't want Sony and AMC to know that I have it.
He also has the Captain license plate, a Heisenberg hat, and even the shot-up doors from Cornered hanging in his house, although those were also given to him as a gift. Also,
this is from El Camino. Surprise, I stole this.
This is the original footage from Live Free or Die, although they zoomed out this shot so you could see Walt while Lucy delivers this line that always makes me smile.
Whoa, what happened there?
And I just noticed her name is Lucy, which makes her the third Lucy with a name tag in Breaking Bad.
It's my birthday.
Yeah? Well, happy birthday.
And the bacon tells us that the series spanned exactly 2 years. Besides shortening the scene, they enhanced the sound in 3 different spots. Then we move seamlessly to the blood money footage that continued the flash forward, although this time without any music. We end with some new footage and a touching moment when Walt thinks about Hank.
It's easy money. Till we catch you.
And I caught you hiding on his jacket. For the film artifact haters out there, we will be saying goodbye to them for good in this video. I do have a few more to quickly point out, then final thoughts to share at the end.
Why don't you say the word and I'll take you on a ride along.
This is basically an unaltered 10 seconds from the pilot, slightly desaturated.
Get a little excitement in your life. Something.
Oh, Hank, sometimes boring is good. This carpet isn't right. It didn't have the square pattern.
Welcome to the Grove. Would you like to see a menu?
The Grove is the name of the real-life restaurant, and this waiter is Alex, a location scout for the show.
Chamomile tea with soy milk.
Vince also described it as the devil's luck that this table wasn't occupied, forcing Lydia to choose a different one.
Yeah, I like your shirt.
My blouse.
Nice color on it. It's kind of a
baby blue.
Cornflower.
Todd is pretty close, at least for the HTML color. Some big paint brands have different notions of cornflower blue that look more like the wall. With Jesse doing all the cooking, has Todd been dabbling in web development?
Before you say or do anything, just hear me out. You're running out of methylamine, aren't you? I have a new method that requires no methylamine.
How did you know to find us here?
10 a.m. Every Tuesday morning, you and I met here.
They're lucky this worked out, but this was a bit of a last-minute revelation. The montage in episode 8 established them meeting here regularly, but only because they didn't have the time or money to film a bunch of different locations.
You're rather schedule-oriented, I guess.
Mr. White, I don't think...
How much would it cost us?
Nothing short of $1 million.
I think Jack should hear this.
I can come up there tonight.
All right, what can I get for you two?
He's just leaving. And I need more Stevia.
I used to wonder how Walt would have tampered with this packet, but given all the other equipment he had in his trunk, I believe he could have the tools necessary to do this.
No disrespect to the man, but doing business with him? That's not...
Of course, we're not doing business with him. Todd, please, don't make me walk you through this. Did you look at him? You'd be doing him a favor.
I was doing him a favor.
I admit I didn't suspect anything here when watching this the first time, even though Walt brought Rice into his first meeting with Lydia at the Grove. Did you? This is in... Again, Walt's humming El Paso, the song about Felina from the beginning.
Mexico.
The special effects crew really made this contraption. It's really triggered by the key fob, really controls a garage door opener to convert the rotation into an oscillating motion, and it really fires blanks. The writers liked that this is Walt using brains over brawn.
Yes, science!
Originally they envisioned Walt holding the gun like Rambo, but that never would have looked right, even if he was healthy. Also, does this count as him building... I can make out the crew in their reflections, although it's no surprise because they were all right there. We saw this in the episode 9 flash forward, but we're now in season 5 episode 16 as the car first foreshadowed. To make this happen, Trina Siopi was standing behind Bryan holding the ring, then dropped it on cue. I guess if I think about it too much, it doesn't really make sense how the ring would fall like that. The pictures tell us where we are, but Skyler's apartment is filled with belongings from the house. And shout out to Olivia's girlfriend Grace who replicated this Afghan. All the big pieces of furniture are recognizable, but there's also this mirror from their bedroom, the rocking chair, these ducks, the giant fork and spoon, the microwave, the infamous knife block, and the roosters up there.
Truce, all right? I have news about Walt. Scott.
Hey.
Walt's in town. That car they thought he stole in New Hampshire. They found it in a Denny's parking lot.
Marie has given up on choosing a color to wear and is now reflecting the wavelengths of all colors by wearing white. Even the phone is the same as before, down to the numbers on the bottom. This makes sense for practical reasons, but it's still great to see.
Your old next-door neighbor, the one on the right, what's her name, Becky?
Becky's on the left, Carol's on the right.
I don't know why, maybe it's because I'm sleep deprived, but this sounds like a rap to me.
Becky's on the left, Carol's on the right.
I've got mine.
Becky's on the left, Carol's on the right.
Becky, Carol, whatever. She saw him.
He's just like, hey, Becky.
Hello, Carol.
Or Carol, whatever.
She said he looked exactly like the Unabomber.
That DEA agent is Steve Stafford, a stunt pilot who flew the plane in Salud.
Skyler, they're getting calls from all over town. He's here, he's there.
Who's
making these calls him?
There are 2 or 3 different voices. They're not sure if they're crank calls or people he's put up to it, and it's stretching them thin, which is maybe the point. They're watching the high school. They're probably watching your place, too.
And they're again doing a bang-up job where they don't bother watching the back door.
They are absolutely going to catch him, no doubt about it. End of story. But on the off chance. Yeah. You be on the lookout, okay?
Thanks.
You want to call Flynn, or do you want me to?
I'll talk to him. Thanks.
You got it.
Farewell, Marie. I hope you're able to stay out of trouble.
Thank you for taking a chance on me 6 years ago, and I so mean it. Like, this has been such an experience of certainly my career, but also my life.
5 minutes.
This shot lives rent-free in my head as I was completely surprised when I first watched this.
Church.
Kind of like that, but let's see it again for real.
5 minutes.
This is a set, but modeled after the real apartment where they shot the exterior.
5 minutes.
Vince got the idea for this shot when scouting the apartment, and he couldn't see Christian, the location manager, who was standing in the kitchen. I'll revisit this shot when I cover Better Call Saul. Do you know when?
5 minutes.
In typical Breaking Bad fashion, after this they talk for exactly 5 minutes.
Before I go, may I see her?
Okay, now let's get to their conversation.
You look terrible.
But I feel good.
So talk. Why are you here?
Walt has changed his outfit, probably because it got dirty assembling the gun. This is his final outfit, which is a lot like what he wore in the pilot. Throughout this scene, you can see Skyler's reactions in the microwave, which was not planned in advance, but rather a happy accident.
It's over, and I needed a proper goodbye, not our last phone call.
So you're going to the police?
They'll be coming to me.
3 men came in the middle of the night. If you're in custody and they find out...
They're not coming back. Not after tonight.
What's tonight? We don't want your money, Walt. I thought Flynn made that clear.
He did, and I don't have any to give you.
That's kind of true because of this.
I spent the last of it getting here.
It's a bit funny to me that he still has these cards in his wallet since he can't use them.
All I have to give you is this.
Ah, the old 2-finger slide. Remember that Walt did have the ticket in his wallet, which is a good thing because I assume Skyler would have thrown it away when moving out of the house. And once again, we see the mistake of B listed twice, although some versions of Breaking Bad out there have this fixed digitally. The one I see on Netflix does not. The story here is that the real Pick 3 game only lets you buy 5 tickets in a single transaction. So they photoshopped a 6th line by duplicating row B, but forgot to change the B to a C on the ticket they printed.
Call the DEA once I leave. Those numbers are GPS coordinates.
For what?
Again, Walt doesn't do a great job conveying that he did not kill Hank and Steve.
A burial site. That's where they'll find Hank and Steve Gomez. It's where I buried our money.
At first it sounds like he was going to say,
It's where I buried Hank and Steve Gomez. The men who stole it from us. They murdered Hank and Steve and put them in that hole.
There you go. You should have led with that.
Now you trade that for a deal with the prosecutor. Skyler, all the things that I did, you need to understand.
I have to hear one more time that you did this for the family.
I did it for me.
Hang it in the Louvre. That line takes my breath away every time. Walt is finally being honest about this, and it's cathartic. And he finally found that combination of words.
There must exist certain words in a certain specific order that would explain all of this.
Here's an alternate version of these iconic lines.
You need to understand why I did them.
Oh, God. If you say one more time that you did this for the family.
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. I was alive. I am awake.
I love this comment. We knew this from the start, which was really emphasized when Walt refused Elliott's job offer. But it's easy to get wrapped up in Walt's rationalizations. Skyler's snot and tear streaks went away on their own. Like Bryan, Anna wore oversized clothes here to help make her seem like a shadow of her former self.
Before I go, may I see her?
Bryan intended to play this without emotion, like he was completely spent, but he couldn't help himself while looking down at the baby. Neither could Andy Vogelai, the camera operator.
As I'm looking at my daughter, and I can hear Andy, who is a relatively new father.
On his way out, he touches hands with Skyler. This is much more obvious in the behind-the-scenes footage.
Heading. Check the gate.
Yes, check the gate. Gotta prevent those film artifacts. Goodbye, Skyler, and goodbye, Anna.
She's a marvelous actor. playing a hard and at times somewhat thankless part, and I can't picture anybody doing it better.
Aaron Paul was just behind the wall soaking it all in, just like he was in the last episode watching Bob's final scene. I hate to go here, but there's a dark theory that this shadow is telling us about Skyler's imminent death. I think it's very possible this was Vince's original intention, as he can go pretty dark when left to his own devices. At the beginning of Season 5B, Vince did originally pitch to Sony and AMC executives that Skyler would end her life, but the other writers talked him out of it. He imagined that at the end of Ozymandias, the family would go with Walt and disappear. In his words,
Skyler and Walter hold up at some Motel 6 or someplace, and he's talking to her. She's in the bathroom, and he's saying to her, it's going to be all right, it's going to be okay, I've got a plan, Skyler, and finally forces the door open, and she's in a bloody tub or something like that, having opened up her wrist. So I mean, it was very dark.
Yikes. But it makes sense that she'd be overwhelmed with guilt for not cooperating with Hank when she had the chance. One of the things that Vince couldn't solve in this version is how Junior would be convinced to disappear with his dad. When pitching Season 5A, the first teaser was going to be Walt rolling a bloody suitcase through the desert.
And like, what was in the suitcase? Was it baby Holly or something? It was so horrible.
And it's well known that Vince was once thinking that around the end of Season 1, reeling from Jesse's death, Walt would chloroform a drug kingpin and trap him in a basement somewhere with an apparatus where he can pull the trigger on himself. He would refuse, so each day Walt would cut off a toe and maybe eventually other body parts. Until one day Junior finds him and tries to help, but the guy pulls the trigger and kills them both. Yikes again. Vince did clarify that this kingpin was not Tuco, but a character they never created. He described him as a combination of Tuco, Crazy 8, and Gus. That's producer Melissa Bernstein sitting on 5 pads to make her comically tall so we can see her.
4 pattern. This is 5. Just so you know, this is ridiculous.
This is an inside joke that's a callback to the pilot. Vince was upset that they couldn't afford extras for the school bus that drove by the DEA ride-along, so Melissa sat in it. This time they could afford extras, even though you can barely see them. This reminds me of fuel outside Walt's condo because Junior got here pretty quickly considering where he was in the last shot. And goodbye, Junior. I hope happier breakfasts are in your future. And now, the final act. I don't know if Walt was able to call Todd or Jack, but he did know the location of their compound from his visit in the Tahajali episode.
Woo! Damn, man, this thing's a classic. What block you got in it? 500 or the 425?
Apparently, Kenny has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to this 5th-generation Cadillac DeVille.
500. That's the one you want. No, just straight in, man. Just, all right, fine. Yeah, whatever.
This isn't really a Chekhov's key fob because we already saw it triggers Walt's contraption. They somehow had the wrong key fob in this scene, and it was black. So they digitally changed it to red, which is pretty fake looking if you watch closely.
My wallet and keys.
Okay, get them back. Just relax.
Jesus, look at you with that head of hair. Is that real?
Yes.
That's not a wig? Seriously?
No.
We know it is. That's a bit of an inside joke. For shots like this, they had a pool table cut in half because the bulky camera wouldn't be able to be this close to the surface otherwise.
Can we talk business?
I don't think so, no.
You're running low on methylamine. What happens then?
That quail woman's got her own setup. The heat's off her.
Todd, please, would you explain things to your uncle?
You really shouldn't have come back, Mr. White.
Wait, Jack, you owe me.
What for?
Jesse Pinkman, you promised that you would kill him. You're his partner now.
No,
that's what you stop.
Partners? What are you talking about?
He's alive, isn't he? What, are you gonna lie?
Like Walt, Jack's pride is his undoing.
What, you think I'd partner with a rat? Go get him, bring him here.
Uncle Jack.
No. This one here, calling me a liar? I'm gonna show you just how wrong you are.
This one is so weird. They used Todd walking by as a wipe between 2 different takes, but there's only a couple frames of the first take, and they kind of messed it up. As Todd is on his way out, you can see one frame with both cuts of Jack. It's more subtle, but you can also see 2 Walts simultaneously toward the end. This is the second time Todd has been used as a wipe, but allow me to improve this buggy Felina wipe with some of my battle-tested exit technology.
I'm gonna show you just how wrong you are. And I'm putting that bullet in your head myself. He just insulted you, he insulted me, all of us.
In 2 shots, the wallet and keys are in the wrong spot. This scene was inspired by Cool Hand Luke, the origin of the Crazy Handful of Nothing title. On the version on Netflix, this scene comes out with double vision, but that's not the case on the DVD.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about, you son of a bitch? Just look like a partner to you? This is my partner. Right, partner? Right, buddy? Hard-working, good partner. 50-50, partner.
Bryan and Vince believed Walt planned to kill Jesse as well, but changed his mind once he saw the state he's in. And Vince credited the old John Wayne film called The Searchers for this plot.
You heard this shit up?
This is not a real massage chair because the motion wouldn't be obvious enough. It's a regular lounger rigged with 3 pneumatic airbags. And it was loud, so they had to remove the sound and dub the dialogue. They mixed in the sound of Vince's real massage chair he recorded at home. There's a stunt, Jesse. The real one landed on a pad. Jesse's probably thinking, not again. It's also what Jesse suggested when they were held captive by Tuco.
You should be like all sacrificial, jumping on a grenade. So my life is not the priority here, because I'm gonna be dead soon anyway. Yeah.
Although he certainly takes his sweet time before pressing the button.
Red tasers rip through the walls like phaser beams right out of Star Trek, sweeping back and forth like Satan's windshield wiper.
There's a jump cut to make this first guy's hit seem more violent, but these guys do a great job of acting with no cuts needed. The keys jumping up when the clock is hit is pretty cool. That's a scorekeeper for the pool table hanging high above it. And there's probably no significance to the number 10, but if we're thinking of the feline theme, maybe this refers to Walt using up his 9 lives. For the third and final time, Mythbusters tested a Breaking Bad plot point.
Oh, yeah. That's really low. Look at that. 7 feet off the ground. They're all dead. And Walt is okay. We can finally call a Breaking Bad test plausible. Yeah.
So the exterior pattern is too neat, although the interior shots have more vertical variation. To me, the biggest issue is Walt's perfect parking job, so bullets span this wall end to end with only 4 strays on the door. Vince's original idea was for Kenny to be upright in a regular chair, and the stream of bullets would continue to demolish everything above his nose. Almost like they'd saw off the top of his head. It was probably a good idea not to go this gory. Don't let Huel distract you from the fact that Kenny's looking straight up in this shot only. There's a little propane burner in there to create that fire, although we should have seen these flames earlier.
Mr. White.
They use stuntmen for Todd and Jesse for everything but the beginning and end of this struggle, and you can see here that this is neither Aaron Paul nor Jesse Plemons. Although Todd has given Jesse the Crazy 8 treatment, Jesse now gives Todd the Crazy 8 ending. Todd killing Andrea
isn't personal,
but it definitely is here.
It is personal!
Todd's still breathing.
Wait. I want your money, right? You pull that trigger, you never do.
And with that, he gives Jack a taste of his own medicine, who didn't let Hank finish his sentence.
Do what you're gonna do.
The muzzle flash is a digital effect, but the rest is fake blood that was blown onto plexiglass with compressed air. Goodbye, Uncle Jack. At the time they introduced the M60, they hadn't even come up with Jack, Todd, or any of that crew. But it kind of forced them to come up with a group of bad guys because you wouldn't use an M60 on a single person. Their wall has a complaint department press red button sign. I've seen these with mouse traps, although this appears to be a trap for larger animals like raccoons.
Do it. You want this.
Say the words. Say you want this.
I want this.
Just tell me you need this.
This time, Walt finally tells him the truth.
Then do it yourself.
The idea here is that Jesse's not going to do anything Walt wants anymore, although it was already the case that Walt saying do it to Jesse never works. That's an amazing job showing incoming call Lydia while also covering up what time it is. This is a Groucho Marx ringtone. We've established that Todd customizes them, but the motivation is that it would give Walt a reason to answer the phone.
Hello?
Is it done? Is he gone?
Yeah, it's done. He's gone. They're all gone.
Todd?
It's funny how long it takes Lydia to realize this isn't Todd. Maybe it's just her illness, but it could reflect how one-sided her relationship with him was.
Walt, how are you feeling? Kind of under the weather? Like you've got the flu?
That would be the ricin I gave you. I slipped it into that stevia crap that you're always putting in your tea.
Finally, we get a payoff for the ricin introduced in the first episode of Season 2 and almost used on Tuco, Gus's dealers, Gus himself, Lydia earlier, and part of the Brock fake-out.
Goodbye, Lydia.
Those are his final words. Of course, ricin doesn't exactly work this way, but as Jay Springman points out, this could be an intentional difference between the Breaking Bad universe and ours. In 2 of the shots, the phone is moved from the spot it landed.
Forgiveness.
Now there's a goodbye. That's a stunt driver, but Bryan really was standing that close to the vehicle. And the stunt driver really hit this fence at 70 miles per hour. It was so late when they filmed this scene that the sun was close to coming up again. As I mentioned in Crawl Space, the German word Weiss means white, but Vince confirmed this was happenstance. A lot of people have focused on Jesse's pressure being 86 psi, where Walt's was shown as 64 earlier. Again, I think the most likely explanation is that there's no deeper meaning here. But as a close second, I like the idea that it's a reference to getting 86, meaning getting rid of someone or something. The script confirms that Walt's proud he taught Jesse well. There it is, we've made it. They first considered going back to the El Paso song, but thank goodness they landed on this iconic song. Vince chose it because he felt there needed to be a feeling of some triumph at the end. I guess we got what we deserved. 142 film artifacts found, although I'm sure there are thousands. For those keeping score, here's the last batch of film artifacts I missed in previous videos. In the Salute video, I explained that Breaking Bad is one of the last shows shot almost entirely on 35mm film. Sometimes when film passes through the gate, dust or other debris can enter and get burned onto a frame. These are what I've called film artifacts. In response, this commenter smartly pointed out that because these artifacts are white, they come later in the process. Dylan Ring Productions pointed me to this video about removing these types of film artifacts from Jaws.
Many sections had vertical scratches. As the film is on the scanner, it's literally passed through this liquid bath so that those scratches are not visible to the light that's passing through that film.
Indeed, I've learned that we see different artifacts in different versions of Breaking Bad. But the other day I found the only black film artifact I'm aware of, so that should be present on all versions unless they ever digitally fix it. I know film artifacts are polarizing, but some of us found them interesting, and it was fun to see many of you spot them. 2 people have even reached out about writing software to detect them. And shout out to Sayaka for being the first to spot the final film artifact as well as the earliest known artifact. Okay, class dismissed. Walt is back with his true love. In the writer's room, they called the vat his precious. They did a couple variations of this shot. Vince chose the one where the blood sort of resembles a W. This one hurts me to point out. Although Bryan did fall backward on a mat for this shot that they didn't use, in this shot he seems to duck, and you can still see him here. The script confirms that Walt had a look of faint satisfaction. Vince felt like the audience would want to see him succeed at some level. Not that he deserved it, but you wouldn't want this to all be for nothing. One criticism of the finale is things went just a little too perfectly for Walt. Some have speculated that he actually died in Granite State and this was all a dream, fueled by how Walt magically appears in 3 locations, lurking like a ghost. I don't think that's true, and even though his plans worked in this episode, it's not exactly a happy ending. I feel like Bryan's wearing something to hide his breathing because he looks a little thicker to me. There is some weird shadow change, but maybe it's just the lighting. This shot was done on a stage and they digitally added those cross beams, so it's possible the crosshair over his left lung where he had a tumor is intentional.
They actually recreated the set here on one of our stages because the ceiling is high enough to get the shot that Vince wants.
One result of this recreation is that his bloody signature moved from the right of the black cap to the left, and I don't think the position he landed in makes a ton of sense. And of course, those are real Albuquerque police officers.
Walter White, you have the right to remain silent.
Also, I said I wouldn't do it, but since so many of you asked, I gotta do it, man. Back to the live free or die motto repeated at the beginning, we get both outcomes for Jesse and Walt. Walt dies at age 52, the same age Bryan turned when the season 1 finale aired. And yes, he is dead, even if Bryan didn't want to believe it.
Was there a coroner's report? Was there a listing in the obituaries? No.
Actually, there was, but it was done by a fan. After the finale aired, New Mexico high school science teacher David Lyman, who also had a student named Jesse, put this obituary in the Albuquerque Journal. Both Baby Blue and El Paso have very relevant lyrics. For Baby Blue, Walt gets what he deserves, and he does not regret the special love he has for his blue meth. For El Paso, Wicked Felina is the name of the love interest, and the singer kills someone who also liked her, flees town, but rides back into town because his fear of death is less than the pain in his heart. He gets shot in the side and dies in her arms.
Is there anything else? Is there something we're missing? What are the details?
How about this for the final detail? A writer told Aaron Paul they toyed with the idea of a post-credits scene. You would see Jesse getting off a bus, then the shot pulls back to reveal a Welcome to Alaska sign. It's been quite a ride, and here are all the things we've counted along the way.
Well, from the very beginning, Vince Gilligan said he wants to take Mr. Chips and turn him into Scarface. And that's what he's done.
I've got many more Breaking Bad topics I want to cover, and in 2 weeks, we go back in time and see a new side of many of our favorite characters. That's right, this Hidden Detail series is only halfway done. Something bad may have ended, but it's time to start something better. Get ready for Better Call Saul. Congratulations and thanks to Aztec Santina, Emiliano Robles, JT, Reina Euthymia, Cuts67, Rory Wilson, Chancellor, Yaz Dolphanic, Professional Fart Inhaler, Wibble, Matt Grant, Interlopus, Leslie, Famsis, Gluey, Continued Bear, Gage Hurst, Rat Popsicles 24, Zero, Kirkpat, Jim Thomas, Barbara Seville, and Nick Blazer, who all just became 6-month members. And thanks to all my members, patrons, subscribers, and viewers. As you know, I say the names of new members, and I severely underestimated how many of you would join right before this video. But I try to be a man of my word, so here's your warning that I'm going to read a really long list of all the new members. It's got to be some kind of YouTube record, and I am humbled by your support. Before I do, I'll just fix my pronunciation of Captain Normac, Saoirse Wood, Waco, and Sask Duder, and encourage you to join the members Discord by connecting your YouTube account. Send me a Discord message if you can't find it. Okay, say hi to Always Here, Janny Nell, Daniel Underwood, Char, Jonathan Rosenbaum, Something Clever, Andy M, Hudra Wilson, Pissars, Daniel Arrow, Jay, Brawny22, Floopfin, Madlove, Unwanted Ghost 1, Diehard Man, Anna May, Lyndon Johnson, Derek Big Janitor Schmidt, The Red Baron Bird, Blaze Inc, Funstab, Dennis Lorenz, Cipriano, Alparslan Barut, Anthony E, Benno, Alexandre Lupond, Chris M. Salvin, Kelly David, Louisa Tesfaye, Salty Salad, Aldi Games 1337, John O.F., TLT, Jack, Samuel Porter, Leo Dumas, Jacob Berard, Sheet Ghost Penguin, Casey McAllister, Mint, Frankie, Jabunga, Nonsense, Das Tom D.E., Jonathan C., Kesha's Dad, Shaolin Diamonds, Dream Exit, Felix K., I Will Heal You But Later, Cole Tucker, Clegg, Ayla is Very Cool, So Cool, Martin Reese, Jaws Poet, Gret, Dan, Icebank Myself, Totoro Raptors, Canadian Big Mac, Polarity, Willionaire, V, Siesta Face, Black Mark Twain, Eddie Bastillos, Timothy Little, Tajetski, Kitty, Saul Goodman, Lorenzo Spirotto de Mello, Rods Valente, Novax, Laser Zamanov, Nate Liscombe, Kakparak, Aladani, Sebek, Lily 35mm, Eric Wills, Tiny Music Critic, Dr. Falman, Rumgood, Jenkins, Como, The 21st Sergeant, Okay Let's Go, Huge Ass, Better Watch TV is the Goat, Finn Reynolds, Nakapish, Bongo, Drunken Courser, Eat the Lettuce, Dibs, Zato Direct, Zephyr Gaming 1, Barco Basadero, Pugs, Robert Rattray, Jonah, Yazface, Spiffo the Great, Green Toilet, Kicks, Ethan Eisenberg, Hera Pingvini, Octase, Vincent Barreau, Swag, Indigo JL1, Saul, The GTFO Guy, Dead, Ben, Ancient Bagels Bagel, Rafael Dos Santos, Cesare, Chef Vin, Warm Milk, Pandish, Thizzy, Jackie Purple, Dustin Bedola, Shadow K9 253, MPAC, Myodeck, The Pillow 7, KGMC, Jost, Axel Mken, Only Mike, Barney Calhoun, Boleto, Star, Maxolian, Tubleros, Jack Reaper, Noki, Not Baden, Snaker, Diego Camacho, This Mangle Shots, Doom for Bloom, Lockneck Ruff, I'm That Cook, Caden Dodd, Zachary Piper, Amelia, Jeremy, Klibushnik, Yiru, Driven Holiday, Mongolia, Trey Winters, Noah, Uray YB, Super Godzilla, The Fandan, Artificio, Zezizek, I Love Ollie, Toasty, Kingsman, Circle, Alioner Alp, Ilmalis, Ariel My Friend, An Ant, Victor Rosenberg, White Stuff, Westy Design, Zeldino, McTeodore, Kai Trottier, Ozak, Colton Lindsay, Samuel Robert Abbott, Lucas Manton Vlogs, Logang 1895, James Douglas, Ruff, Mr. Dominic, Usagi Ward, Hergs, Jens, Massive Terry, Bullet, Pastachan, Uwa, World Collider, Bufu, EK Drizzle, The Nugget Man, Zixelclu, Hazan Klink, Sturman Dupelstein, Richard Hill, Lennox, Lelek Vomdienst, Frogoboom, Lucas, Papo Pepo 69, Mojo 360, Calico Cabot, Drina Bojovic, Demumu Plays, Limpin, Leighton Pelays, Sick Cores, Seabarb, Ivy, Gucci Bandana, McChatlack Speedruns, Richie Williams, Robox, Valentvok, Unit 220, Jakey Baby, Dr. Blobby, Guide, Unfinal Live, Simbogen, Anthony Alicio, Angel for 12, Hexand Cube, Cody 2005, Ninja Demo LKI, Simon Lansky, Hotline Jacket, D-Pat, Putsai Kumi, Zova, Fourth Car Minji Car, Luna Rodriguez, Ready to Watch, Chaotic Killjoy, Latvian Dragon, I Love My Dog, Mr. Personal Space, Maurice Rise, Louty, Jonas Collar, Jacob Art, Old Danny Tanner, Pancerni Kebab, Shut Up Liam, Cotmate, Dan, 346AA, HID 816, Elmo 483, Gadzoot, Kieran McCarthy, Dr. Squirrel, Marcos Gomez, Bathroom Carpet, DJNN145, Oliver Nega, CT9095, The Grim Reaper, The Man, Jamie VR, Matt Conosley, Penny Wenny 11, Jeremy Shepard, Dorito Dave, Uz, Alan Tran, Noxie, Alton Tan, Wonder, Joe, Music Eye 124, Newton, Dominic O.A., Jeremy Sanchez, Cooper Sampson, Kunef, Fatima Mukhtar, Prod.Jizzle, Perokakik, Answers, Koroff, Onfim, Jarlo Milf, Eric Loves BWTV, Karasim, Luis Delos Gatos, Zatwi, Krish Aditya, Johan02, Zinjo, Jonathan Ravan, Vap, Fluxsynth, Birdbrains, MKVQZ, Reds, Seal and Company, Sergeant Meadows, Some Bloke from Chile, Hisho, Tony B, Jonathan Valadares, Rick Sky Licorice, Hacksaw24, Jim Early, Bongo, Yaxix, Blitzar, Beepop, Giovanni Nolasco Zacharias, All Day Fella, Lunar TRS, Ryder the Raptor, Dalen Hansen Ellis, Tom, Amos Baldoff, Magic, Joffis, Ian Holst, Sanrieth, Dan, Dezevil, RTX 980, Kyle M, Romeo Cruz, Dimolik Chazex, Ryzak, Sanchez, Fabian Dre 24, Psydot, Connor Hamlin, Sloth Consumer, Desert Fox, Green Pepper, Beast Moto 324, Rez Nickmas, Gamer 23 Car, Wonder Productions, Yeager, White Babic and Company, Lachlan McClure, Red Toa, Two Bushes, Solo Archie, Seba the Beba, Execus, Melon Seed, Jason Gamer 9000, Freezy, Nacho, Carmen, Judah Moa, Mulvania, Gilbert, Pickwisp, Kiwi, Nicolita, Soltra, Skull is Dull, Winterboy, Ross, Hayden, 805, Mayonnaise, Elijah Hubert, Waxy, Malto Zombie, Rock Goblin, S1, Grant 6, Gomez, Dowdo Lover, Walks, MG Flicks, Eduardo Coelho Andrade, Tal Villa Clara, Sebastian, Kif, Walta Brian White, Helen, Michael C, Gabriel Avellino, Anything Goes, Kurg to BB300, Invermere, Richard Browder, Juraz Sids, Penguin Minton, Wolf Dude Bro, Adam, Geomatic Games, Empty Soul, A Valve Guy, Impognito, Ashish Ranjan, KP.exe, Sebs, Chris, Andreas Tizel, Taj Plays, Rio Def Sticks for Elva 6, Mixright, Rays Plays, Vinny B, Golden 445, Water Bottle Gaming TV, Loco Bob, Sam Schellenberger, Squishy Bananas, Mitchy Plays, and last but not least, there's Elwood Nichols. I know some of you joined after the cutoff, so I'll get you next time.
Hello, Jack? Jack, are you home? Jack, I wanted to talk to you for a second. You got a minute? Can I interest you in the Watchtower?
Yeah.
You got it.